It was about 5-6 years ago when I met my co-author Tim Walker, who is American teacher, as you heard, and lives in Finland. Tim wrote a book a few years earlier called Teach Like Finland. And it was very much read, particularly in the United States, but also in some other countries. And I had just published my Finnish Lessons 2.0. And we had a conversation in Helsinki about the Finland's secret, if you wish, or what people normally are interested in Finnish when they think about Finnish education. And we both said that people normally take one souvenir from Finland, Finnish education, and it's the trust in teachers. But at the same time, we both realized that trust is something difficult because it's invisible. You cannot see that. Trust is often very difficult to define or explain what it is. And certainly trust is very difficult to measure. So we don't have any way to assess or measure how much teachers are trusted in different countries or how much schools are trusted by parents and politicians. So we decided we want to write a book about this. So we want to explain people what trust in Finland, Finnish schools looks like and why is it important. And I'm going to give you 3 things very briefly here that we believe makes the culture of trust, and we call it, we see trust as a cultural thing. It's not an kind of an entity or thing. It's a part of the culture. And so I'm going to give you 3 examples why we think that this culture of trust is such an important thing. It's an important thing in the Finnish education, and it's an important thing in the Thai education, in your own system as well. And it's particularly important when there's a lack of trust, as you know, that when the trust is not there, many other things occupy that space, and many of those things are negative. So the first one here is that why the culture of trust is important. It is that it helps people to collaborate. In other words, the more there is trust between people, let's say in education sense, trust in teachers in the system or in the community, or trust in students, or that the students trust their teachers, the more likely people are to collaborate with one another. They're more likely to collaborate with those who trust them, who show them this trust, like parents, or the politicians, for example, if there's a trust. And on the other side, if the parents or the authorities, the administration, don't trust teachers, it's very unlikely that there will be a real collaboration between those different people. So that's one. Trust is important because it builds what we call social capital, and we describe this social capital a little bit in this book. The second thing why the culture of trust is important, it is that it allows people to do their best. And it's the same thing if you have children in your own family, and you show them that you trust them to make good decisions and stay safe, and you do their homework, rather than that you control and put limits all the time. Many of us parents, we are surprised to see how much better actually many of these kids do when we just trust them. And it's exactly the same with teachers in a school. When we trust our teachers to do the right thing, of course, we should not allow teachers to do whatever they want. But if there's a curriculum and there's a frameworks and there's a different codes of conduct or ethical rules, and then we just trust that teachers, based on their training and their collective wisdom, also will do the best they can. This often happens, and this certainly has happened in Finland. That when the teachers feel that they are trusted as professionals, they will do even better than they would do without that trust. So that's why the trust leads to what we call the collective efficacy. collective efficacy means that together we can do things better and more effectively than if we were doing these things alone. So it's a very important part in that sense as well. And then finally, the third one is the culture of trust. It's important because it makes the administration and leadership in education more effective. And that's because often when you trust teachers, when you trust schools, you need less control. You need to rely less on kind of a formal assessments or evaluations or testing or measurements, because you can trust that people do the right things based on the fact that they are professionals. And this again is exactly what has happened in Finland and many other countries, that the size and cost of administration or governance, if you wish, will become smaller and cheaper because of the trust in people's ability and will to do the right thing. So we need less control when there's a more trust in place. So, of course, these are the three things. And of course, now the question is that, how do we do this? How do we build this culture of trust? And this whole book that we have written is about this, building this culture of trust. And somewhere there in the book, we say that because since trust is a part of the culture, it means that the trust arrives on foot. So it means that it takes a long time to get there. It's a long time to build this culture of trust. And then we say that the culture leaves on horseback. So we can leave this very quickly, and we can lose this culture of trust very quickly if we are not taking care of that. So that's the kind of a cultural essence, and that's the complexity of this trust. That it takes a long time and a lot of work to build a trustworthy culture and environment, particularly within education systems. But it takes just a little snap to lose it. Just do a few wrong things and we lose it. But that's what I wanted to tell you as an introduction. And I really hope that this book, although it's written in Finland using the Finland example as a basis, will somehow empower you and inspire you also to think about this trust in your own communities and in your own schools, and also understand that in Finland we didn't build this trust in schools overnight, and this trust building was not just one project. It was never a law or part of the curriculum. It was the way we reorganized the entire education system so that the teachers realized and felt that they are trusted and treated like professionals. And that's a very important thing in your context as well. I think, one thing that Finland is doing differently compared to many others is that the health, not just the health and well-being services to children, but health as a skill is integrated as part of the school work of the school. And it's not like that in most other countries. Like here in Australia, the health and well-being are seen as a separate things from education and learning and curriculum. So I think what the Finnish schools were doing already before the pandemic is to have a strong strong focus on well-being and health as important skills, not just the things that are made available for students in the schools. We often say in Finland that health is probably the most important 21st century skill that there is. And that's why all the schools were already focusing on this well-being that is linked to burnout that you mentioned, and health that is focusing and trying to prevent the mental health issues of particularly young children in the school system. So again, I think if you have a system where teachers are trusted and schools are trusted to do the right thing, as I said in my introduction, when you trust people, they are likely to find better solutions and better ways to cope and deal with particularly situations where there is no kind of a textbook answer or response as we have had in this COVID situation, that there's no textbook in the world, or there was no textbooks in the world for people, school teachers and principals, for example, how to cope and deal with the COVID situation. So all this wisdom was in teachers. And in Finland, because we trust our teachers, we were able to use that wisdom and knowledge and insight and creativity that teachers had in finding quickly solutions to most of these problems.